Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about are the watches from what are traditionally considered fashion brands. When we think of Chanel, we think of maybe, if we think of it at all, it's like Chanel number 5. And some of these other companies we think is more of jewelers or things they make for women. And what I want to look at today are the men's watches, some really excellent watches that are overlooked, becoming underpriced, and available for some excellent watches at some, I think, possibly really great prices. The first one is Chanel. Now, Chanel owns 20% of this company called Kenissi, and Kenissi is owned in part by Tudor and some other company. And in this Kenissi factory, they make the caliber 12.1. Now, the caliber 12.1 for Chanel is based on the MT 5600 from Tudor. And so essentially what you're getting is a base of a Tudor rather than the base of something that is sort of a little more mass produced. And it's as you can see by taking a look at the design of the movement, it doesn't look at all like the MT 5600 family of movements. In Chanel or any place else they may end up. And the J12 has been around for years and years and years. It's the white one is usually considered the women's watches, and some of the smaller ones. This one is 38 millimeter. They also have a 33 millimeter, 33 or 32 millimeter, and they have what they call the 12.1, 12.2 caliber in it. Okay, now that's just nothing new. That's sort of old hat. And the other thing is also maybe somewhat old hat because I have a Chanel Monsieur, and it has a caliber 1 in there, and that's 8. Chanel has lots of money, so they hired 8 of their own watchmakers plus Romain Gauthier. They happen to own what they call a friendly share of Romain Gauthier. They also own, I think it's 20-25% of FP Journe. So you're seeing the reach of these companies go beyond what we normally think of. Like I said, there's something like Chanel number 5 is our vision of it. This watch has been, it's gone to the price point has gone to call for price. And when watches get that high, now this one, they do have one at the very bottom, not the one pictured, not the one in beige gold or the one in white gold. It's ceramic or something like that. And that one sells for $45,600. That's the MSRP, sort of on the entry level. So this is quite a movement. Now, pictured there is something called Chanel Watch Manufactory in La Chaux-de-Fonds. Here's the thing about this. You look about this, this is, what else is new? We've heard about the caliber 1. They haven't done much since then. Well, as a matter of fact, they have. They've got the caliber 6, the caliber 5. I don't know what happened to caliber 4, but they got caliber 3.1 and caliber 3, caliber 2, and then, of course, caliber 1, which is the original one. Okay. Caliber 6 is an automata. And it has the automata that what's moving around is an image of Coco Chanel with needle and thread doing some design, which is sort of fun. I don't know. I guess if you're going to have an automata on a watch, that's as good as any. Well, that's what the caliber 6 does. The caliber 5 is a tourbillon. The caliber 3.1, I'm not sure what that is. It looks like a time only. The caliber 3 is a very much of a shaped caliber. The caliber 2 is another shaped one that is totally skeletonized. Then, of course, the caliber 1 is the one that was originally done with the aid of Romain Gauthier. And the thing about it is, if you look at these things, they look like a lot of these circular bridges. And since Chanel owns a part of Romain Gauthier, and Gauthier makes his own parts and stuff, I have a feeling that a lot of these parts, if not all of them, are either, I don't know if duplicated is the right word, but they come from the same source. I'll put it that way. Now, another great big watchmaker, again, that's usually associated with fashion brands, is LVMH. And LVMH has a whole lot of different brands that they own. Chanel has its own brand and a lot of different movements for it and so forth, plus their own watchmakers. In fact, they own parts of one and all of another one. That they're really more than we sometimes realize. Bulgari, Chaumet, I think Chaumet quit making men's watches, but there are a lot of great ones available at really good prices. Dior, I was not even going to put Dior in, but then I found this one. I won the GPHG fashion watch. I didn't realize that. Hublot. Now, a lot of people think, Hublot, they don't think much of Hublot. They should. Hublot has won 7 or 8 Grand Prix awards. I didn't realize that. So it's something to know about. And again, these are watches oftentimes that people overlook, and as a result, you get them at a very, very good price. The Louis Vuitton watches themselves, my wife has one. It's a world timer. It works great. It has an ETA base to it, but they have more than ETA bases now. This particular one shown here in the lower left won the award for, I think it was style or one of those awards, but really an amazing looking watch. Next to it is the Tag Heuer. Everyone's familiar with Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer's won quite a few Grand Prix awards. And finally, Zenith. And Zenith is another one that's well known and won a lot of awards. Now, some of these, this is the Bulgari has a BVL brand movement that I guess is in-house. And Zenith has Defy Labs, which makes their movement. But I think more importantly, LVMH has La Fabrique du Temps. Michel Navas and Enrico Barbassini, these two guys founded it, and they have this great big building that they have for doing nothing but making movements. And that's what they do. And they've made a lot of different ones, and I can't tell which ones are made just for Louis Vuitton or how many of their other brands they make them for, but they're not dependent on sort of out of shop brands. Some of these other ones, they are responsible for, they do have out of shop brands, but they're such good brands that to be very good. Okay, so LVMH is another brand. Like I said, I would not overlook them at all. Now, a third one is Hermes. And Hermes, there was some story I read that they had started a long time ago making watches and didn't do anything. And then they came back and started making them again. Here are some watches that they make, and they've won a lot of awards on them. But one of the things I like about Hermes is that they they have things that are just different from everybody else's. On the top right over there is a time suspendu, which what happens is if you're on a really good date and you want to stop the time, you push a button and the hour and minute hand go up to the 12. Everything is at the 12, and then if you want to bring it back again, and then pop it and it goes back to the right time. Sort of an interesting concept, and it did win. I think it won the men's award one year for the Grand Prix. Lower left is another one. There's a whole series of watches that Hermes makes called dressage, D-R-E-S-S-A-G-E, that's a term used with horse stuff you put on horses, the saddles and bridles and all of that stuff. A couple other things about Hermes that's really interesting are the fonts. They have this the Slim de Hermes has their own special font that was made for Hermes. And then they have another one, there's a highly italicized font called Arcu. Again, they have a lot of really great watches. Up at the top left there is called, I think it's the H08. It's a really very popular movement at a very good price. Now, Hermes, this is to me one of the more interesting ownerships. They own 25% of Vaucher manufacturer Fleurier. The overall owner is the Sandoz Family Foundation. And there's been a lot of movements lately that the Sandoz Family Foundation may get rid of all of their watchmaking companies. Whether Hermes would get it or whether that there's a little more to it than just rumors, I don't know. But right now they own a big hunk of one of the major watchmakers, one of the major quality watchmakers, I may add. These are not they're not one at a time, but they're not with a huge mass production to them. Really interesting movements. Again, a hunk of those are owned by Hermes. Now, the final one is another one. I got one of their watches called the Alexei by Fabergé, and I didn't know anything about it. And it was white gold, and it was brand new, and it was like a third, I think, of the MSRP. And I thought, man, that looks like a neat watch, and so I got it. Well, it turns out that it had a Frédéric Piguet movement in it. And this is the strangest thing. On the back of it, they had a solid back. So I took the back off to see what was inside. And here is this rotor that is the Russian Imperial Eagle. I thought, what? Now, Fabergé got it started in Russia, and Fabergé eggs were, the Tsar liked them, I guess, or Catherine the Great did, somebody did, but that really put a name on Fabergé. So here's this one. I was so surprised. Well, first of all, Frédéric Piguet movement they had was quite a good one, and it's been a great watch. Some of the other ones, the one in the top middle there is a dual time zone. This has got a time zone module by Agenor. The far right is, and I'm not sure who did the movement in this one, but it's called an Agathon or something like that. It has some kind of name, and this is a regulator and it just looked interesting to me. Now the bottom left is a real gem of a watch. It has an Agenor, it's called an Agengraph movement. And it's just like, I don't know if they make a better movement as far as chronograph is concerned. In fact, I don't think they do. A lot of top watches have used those in it. There are a couple other ones. Over on the far right is a woman's watch. But it's an interesting one, and it too has not only, it has the entire movement is by Agenor. Anyway, so these are, you're looking for a watch and you're looking for some deals, and you're looking, especially if you're looking for some gold or even platinum. This is not a group to overlook. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.